Come with me down this rabbit hole. Lose your body and find your soul. Adventures coming, wait and see. Come on this adventure with me.
Hello, I am Ollie, the narration crow. Brian can't be bothered to do such nonsense. Let's take a walk through a cemetery whilst I tell you some facts. For fun, let's start this off with a riddle. I'm the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space, the start of every end and the end of every place. Stick around to the end of the video for the answer. The word cemetery is taken from the Greek word koimeterion, which is the word for sleeping place. The word implies that the land has been set aside as a burial ground. Although the word graveyard is often used interchangeably with cemetery, a graveyard is only a type of cemetery. Sayings on gravestones are called epitaphs. Epitaphs in colonial America often administered warnings about the certainty of death, or even gave hints of the person who may have caused the death. As attitudes toward death changed, epitaphs changed to convey hope and/or grief, and some are even humorous, e.g., I told you I was sick. Wow gravestones represent an association. If you see the word wow on a gravestone, you have found the burial place of a former member of the Woodmen of the World, an American fraternal insurance company that was said to have given widows $100 and a free gravestone if the company logo was put on the stone. The WOW emblem is a sawed-off tree stump, often with a mallet or beetle, an axe, and a wedge. The type of stone used for a gravestone can reveal wealth or military affiliation. American gravestones are typically made from granite, marble, limestone, sandstone, slate, quartzite, schist, wood, and even petrified wood. Throughout history, wealthy families often opted for marble and granite, while poorer families often selected headstones made from sandstone, lime, or even wood. Government-issued military gravestones are uniform in design and made of marble, bronze, or granite. Many gravestones face east. An east-west orientation for gravestones is the most common throughout the world. Early American settlers wanted their feet pointing east and their heads toward the west, so they were ready to rise up and face the sun of a new day when they hoped to be reborn. When the rural cemetery movement became popular in the 1830s, graveyards were constructed with winding roads, hilly terrain, and stones facing different directions. Carved motifs on gravestones carry meaning. Look closely at gravestones, and you'll see symbols are everywhere. The winged hourglass tells us that time flies. The hourglass on its side indicates time stopping for the dead. A broken flower or tree symbolizes a life cut short. Hands in prayer position can signify devotion, and a hand pointing down can indicate sudden death. A handshake can reflect the clasped hands of a couple to be reunited in death. Wadi al-Salam Cemetery in Iraq is the world's largest graveyard. More than 6 million bodies, including those of prophets, kings, scientists, are buried in the cemetery, spread over an area of 917 hectares. Have you ever felt the urge to count the gravestones or markers in a cemetery or a specific area? In many parts of the world, this was said to bring misfortune. According to this belief, counting graves would either shorten your life or reveal the number of days you have left to live. Located in one of the nation's oldest colonies, Old Burying Point was established in 1637 in Salem, Massachusetts. Home of the famous Salem witch trials, Salem established Old Burying Point 50 years before the trials began. None of those executed as a result of the trials are buried in this cemetery, but some of the people involved in the trials, including the judge who sentenced 20 innocent people to death, are buried here. Carved figures of animals on gravestones carry meaning. Lambs are often found on the gravestones of children. Detailed carved figurines of family dogs are sometimes found atop graves of their human friends. Though more uncommon, roosters atop a stone are usually thought to be symbolic of Judgment Day. In 1816, the mortsafe was invented to keep out grave robbers and resurrectionists who supplied medical/anatomy schools with bodies. Obelisks are a common feature in many cemeteries. Beginning in the 1840s, obelisk-shaped stones began appearing in American graveyards, just as there was a renewed interest in Egyptian culture. Obelisks, with uplifting lines, could be placed in small areas, were thought to be patriotic, and were less costly than large and elaborate sculpted monuments. Graving is the hobby of searching out and often photographing specific graves for genealogy or curiosity about the rich and famous. A cenotaph is a marker or monument erected in honor of a person whose remains are elsewhere. It may also be a marker at the initial grave site of a person who has been reinterred elsewhere. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the anxiety of being buried alive was elevated to new heights. With cholera and yellow fever epidemics and less than ideal medical care, people feared premature burial. To combat this, safety coffins were invented. These coffins came equipped with a bell that one could ring if they found themselves in this most unpleasant situation. Often fresh air came in through a hatch as well. There are no documented cases that anyone ever needed the bell. That concludes our facts for today. Now for the answer to our riddle. I'm the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space, the start of every end and the end of every place. The answer is the letter E. Thank you for subscribing to Dead Media NH.